Hi there guys, welcome back to part 5, support and continuous improvement. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how you can support your team that is using the Monday.com infrastructure that you have built for them and how you can continuously improve it. And also I want to mention this is also how you get more of the company to adopt Monday.com. So obviously, if you're bringing this technology in, this is the rollout, you need to think, okay, we could start with the marketing department, then the finance department, and so on and so on, and how you're going to get the company to adopt it. Okay, so first off, the one thing I want to mention to you is that your first draft is never perfect. So you are always going to be improving your system. Okay? Just understand that. And the way that you do this is that obviously you're going to get a lot of information from support requests, because you can see, oh, there's a bug, let's fix that. Or you get feature requests. So I'm going to split this video up into the two parts. So the first one we're going to talk about is support. And what I want to explain to you is I want you to understand something that, why handling support sucks. Okay? It really does. And the reason why I wanted to explain this is because most people that develop the Monday.com solution have other responsibilities, especially if they're in your organization. Okay? And that is a huge issue, because the problem is that a person could say, oh, I've got to fix this, and the other person is maybe in a meeting or is just unavailable at that point in time. And because they're getting all these support requests, they kind of have to drop what they're doing and fix it, or the person has to kind of wait for them to be able to fix their solution. Right? I mean, that's hours. And it's frustrating for, number one, the person that is issuing the support request, because obviously they want their solution resolved. And then secondly, it sucks for the person that has to support them, because they're busy and now they have to drop what they're doing, which is super irritating. But yeah, so you need to understand that. Another thing, I know I talked to you about documentation and training material, and a harsh thing for you to realize is this, and for me, people are lazy and don't read the material you give them. They will just ask you on WhatsApp because it's easier. It happens. It sucks. But the fact is you still need the training material, because the problem is that, again, you have the handover, and it is frustrating when people are not actually reading the material. There's nothing worse when someone asks you a question and you say, but there's a video that explains this. It says it right here. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't have time to watch the video. You want to strangle people. Okay. And then the other thing is also seeing a support request come through, which honestly could take a minute or two to resolve, eradicates concentration on deep work activities. Remember what I was talking about, where the other person has responsibilities, and let's say that they are actually building a Monday.com solution, and suddenly some person just says, hey, I just wanted to let you know that the status didn't change. Why is that? Well, if you took a look at the video, you would understand that you have to do this first. Oh, thank you. That is literally a 1-minute conversation engagement. But now what happens is I drop my deep work, I go and fix their problem, and now I've lost my concentration and I have to build that momentum again. It is frustrating. And you have to understand that whoever builds the system, that is your life. Okay? That is what you're going to be dealing with. Now, obviously, with Monday.com, you don't get a lot of support workflow requests, especially if you have 1 or 2 systems. But if you've got the entire company working on it, I promise you, you're going to get requests. Because remember, your company is also hiring new people, which means that they will be talking about the problems that other people have asked before. So just understand, this is pretty much the life of someone that has to support them. Okay, so that's support. Let's talk about how to handle feature requests. This is my favorite line. Just because someone has a problem doesn't mean the system or the company has a problem. People want to make their lives as easy as possible. They would love to automate themselves out of business, but they do want to still be paid to actually do for the work. You have to really think about, is this worth putting into the system? And there has to be some process in place where you have a product owner. Because in all honesty, Monday.com, your Monday.com system or infrastructure, someone has to be the product owner for that. And they need to basically decide, should we add this feature, should we not? If not, you need to communicate why, because obviously you're going to get a very annoyed person that says, they don't listen to me and I'm not going to give any more feature requests. And if the product manager says, actually, this is a fantastic idea, yes, let's do that. Okay, this brings me to my second point. Because the problem with Monday.com is that it's so easy to add feature requests, to add features and add columns, that you could actually create an extremely convoluted system. Okay, you want to make certain that that the feature that you're adding talks to the purpose of the system. And again, this purpose is spoken about in the planning stage. Because the problem is that if you keep adding feature after feature after feature after feature, you're going to get this extremely convoluted tech bloat, and eventually the system is not going to be user-friendly. Remember we spoke about the most important thing, KISS? Well, the more features you add to something and the more clicks you put to something, the less KISS it is. So be very, very careful about what features you are adding to your system and ensure that it speaks to the purpose. The third thing, ask yourself this question: what value will this feature add and how should you prioritize it? It is very important. You don't just go, remember, you don't just go and say, boom, new feature, done. Boom, new feature, done. Because what happens, especially if you've got lots of people working on the system and suddenly there's this new magical button column that's added, everyone's like, what the hell is this? What does this do? I'm now confused. What are we supposed to do? You need to basically communicate the changes. And the more changes you make to a system, the harder it is, or not the harder it is to have the conversation. It's more just, it's going to be difficult for people. They might get a little bit resistant to the change itself. Even if it is in Monday.com, you need to explain why the change is happening, what the change is, and you need to have a change log. And you can communicate that. And you also want to prioritize. Yes, it might take you 2 days to add a feature to Monday.com, or like 30 seconds, but you really should choose how to prioritize it. Like, in this week, I'm going to do this one. In this week, I'm going to do this one. In this week, I'm going to do this one. So then that way your team isn't inundated from these new changes. Because imagine that your team uses the system and suddenly you bring in 10 different changes based on all the feature requests, because it talks to the person and will add lots of value. It's definitely going to hurt the team, and yeah, just be very careful about that. Okay. Again, with regards to support and feature requests, I've just touched on the subject here. There is more about it in our Ultimate Monday.com Champion Development Program. I do talk about it. It's a 2-day, full-day virtual bootcamp. We've got a virtual conference center where 10 of us come together and we just talk about how to build a Monday.com champion to be able to build and maintain your Monday.com infrastructure. Okay, but I will see you in our last video, which is part 6, reporting.